Tyrion Lannister was born into one of the most powerful families in Westeros. But power did not bring him love. The day Tyrion came into this world, his mother died. And from that moment, his life became a punishment. To the world, he was a Lannister, to his father, he was a mistake. Tywin Lannister never forgave his son. In his eyes, Tyrion was not a child, he was a reminder of loss and shame. A dwarf in a house built on pride. A small body in a world that worshipped strength. From childhood, Tyrion learned what cruelty felt like. Servants laughed behind his back. Lords whispered when he entered the room. People stared, not with curiosity, but with disgust. He heard words like monster, imp, and curse. Before he ever understood what kindness was, only one person treated him like a human being. His brother, Jaime. Jaime never looked down on him, never laughed at him. To Jaime, Tyrion was not broken, he was simply different. But one brother's love was not enough to protect him from a father's hatred. Tywin wanted a perfect legacy. Strong sons, a proud name, and Tyrion did not fit into that dream. So Tyrion learned to survive. If the world laughed at him, he would laugh first. If the world mocked him, he would mock himself louder. He turned pain into humor, humiliation into wit. Wine became his escape, words became his shield. Behind every joke, there was loneliness. Behind every smile, there was a wound. Tyrion wanted what everyone wants. To be loved, to be accepted, but love felt like something made for other people. As he grew older, he became sharper, smarter, more dangerous, not with a sword, but with his mind. He read books while others trained, he listened while others shouted. He observed a world that never stopped judging him. And in silence, Tyrion understood something powerful. This world would never be fair. But it could be outsmarted, yet no amount of intelligence could heal a father's cruelty. Tywin reminded him again and again that he was unwanted, that he was tolerated, not loved. Tyrion lived in a golden castle, but his heart lived in exile, surrounded by wealth, yet starving for affection. This was only the beginning. Because the world had not yet finished breaking Tyrion Lannister. And the deepest wounds were still waiting. Love. Betrayal. And a truth that would destroy him forever. This was the story of the son the world never wanted. For all his wit and intelligence, Tyrion Lannister was desperate for one thing. Love. Not respect, not power, just love. When he was still young, before the world completely hardened him, Tyrion met a girl named Tysha. She was simple, kind, pure. She looked at him, without disgust, without judgment. For the first time in his life, someone chose him. Tysha did not see a dwarf, she saw a man. They laughed together, they talked for hours, they fell in love. And in that short, fragile moment, Tyrion believed something dangerous, that he was worthy. He married her in secret. A foolish dream, but a beautiful one. For the first time, Tyrion felt whole, but happiness never survives long. In the House of Lannister, Tywin Lannister discovered the truth. And he destroyed it. Tysha was taken, brutalized, humiliated. Tyrion was forced to watch, as everything he loved was torn apart. Then came the lie. Tywin told him, she was never real, that she was paid to pretend she loved him, that no woman could ever truly want him. That lie buried itself deep inside Tyrion's soul. From that day, love became poison, something to fear, something to doubt. Tyrion's heart closed itself to hope. Years later, another woman entered his life. Shae. She was warm, comforting, familiar. With her, Tyrion pretended again, pretended that love was possible. But deep down, he never fully trusted it. Because once a heart is broken, it never believes completely again. Shae wanted security. A future. A place in the world. Tyrion wanted something simpler. To not be alone. He protected her. He risked everything for her, even sent her away to keep her safe. But love built on fear cannot stand. When Tyrion needed her most, Shae betrayed him. She stood in court, looked him in the eyes, and destroyed him with her words. In that moment, every wound reopened. Tysha. Shae. every rejection, every insult. All at once, Tyrion realized something painful. He did not fear love, he feared believing in it. Because belief was what broke him. Once again, he stood alone, loved only for what he could give, never for who he truly was. And the worst part, despite everything, he still wanted to be loved. This was Tyrion Lannister's curse, not his body, not his name, but a heart that refused to stop hoping, and the world that never stopped punishing him for it. The war outside was growing, kings were rising and falling, and Tyrion's pain was about to shape the fate of an entire kingdom. Because the mind that loved deeply would soon be forced to fight mercilessly. While others ruled with swords, Tyrion Lannister ruled with thought. When war came to King's Landing, chaos followed. The city was weak, the king was cruel, and the court was full of liars. Tyrion was named Hand of the King, not because they trusted him, but because they underestimated him. They thought a dwarf could never control a kingdom. They were wrong. Tyrion listened while others shouted. He watched while others schemed, he learned who could be trusted, and who could not. Piece by piece, he took control of the city, he reduced corruption, he punished cruelty, he protected the innocent, not with mercy alone, but with balance. He faced his sister Cersei, a woman ruled by pride and fear. She hated him, feared him. Because Tyrion saw the truth, she tried to hide. When Stannis Baratheon marched toward the city, panic spread. The people screamed, the nobles fled. But Tyrion stayed. He prepared defenses, he strengthened the walls, he armed the weak. And when the enemy arrived, the black water burned, fire consumed the river, ships exploded, the night turned red. Tyrion led the defense himself, not from a throne, but from the battlefield. He inspired men who never believed in him. And for a moment, the world listened. The city was saved. King's Landing survived. Because of Tyrion Lannister. But victory is cruel. No songs were sung for him. No praise was given. The credit was stolen. The gratitude erased. Instead, Tyrion was wounded, pushed aside, forgotten. Even the king he saved despised him. Once again, Tyrion learned the lesson he already knew. Doing the right thing does not guarantee respect. Power does not love wisdom, it fears it. Tyrion returned to the shadows. Scarred, bitter, still loyal, because despite everything, he believed the realm mattered more than his pride. But enemies never forget. Cersei watched him closely, waiting, because in King's Landing, the greatest danger is not the sword. It is the mind that refuses to be controlled. And Tyrion's greatest battle was still ahead. A battle not of fire or steel, but of lies, betrayal, and judgment. And it would almost destroy him. Victory never protected Tyrion Lannister. After saving King's Landing, he became more isolated than ever. His enemies grew bolder, their hatred sharper, and then, the king died. Joffrey Baratheon was poisoned. Before the eyes of the court. Chaos followed, fear demanded a culprit. And the blame fell where it was easiest. On Tyrion. He was arrested. Dragged before the world, judged before he could speak. The trial was never about truth, it was about revenge. Witness after witness stepped forward, twisting memories, turning kindness into cruelty. Even those he once protected, spoke against him. But the deepest knife came last. Shay. The woman he loved, the woman he trusted. She stood before the court, looked at him, and lied. In that moment, Tyrion felt something die, not hope, not love, himself. When it was time to speak, Tyrion did not beg. He did not plead, he exploded. He reminded them of every sacrifice, every lie, every injustice. And still, they condemned him, death. Only one man refused to let him die. Jaime, the brother who never abandoned him. Jaime freed him in secret, gave him a chance to live. Before fleeing, Tyrion faced the truth. He had lived with his entire life. His father, Tywin Lannister, years of hatred, years of rejection, years of pain. All in one room. Tywin called him a monster, a disappointment unworthy of the Lannister name. And Tyrion answered, with steel. He killed his father, not as revenge alone, but as release, as survival. He found Shae, in his father's bed, another betrayal, another wound, and he ended her life too. When Tyrion escaped the castle, he was no longer a son, no longer a brother, no longer a Lannister in spirit, he was a fugitive. Broken. Alive, with blood on his hands, and nothing behind him. The world had finally taken everything. And Tyrion Lannister walked into exile, not knowing if redemption was still possible, or if survival was all that remained. Exile did not bring Tyrion Lannister peace, it brought silence. Across the narrow sea, far from the castles that hated him, Tyrion lived with ghosts, his father, Shae, the life he destroyed. To save himself, he drank to forget, and thought to remember, until fate introduced him to a queen of fire. Daenerys Targaryen. She was young, powerful, uncertain, she carried the weight of destiny, without understanding its cost. Tyrion saw himself in her, he offered counsel, not commands, he warned her of cruelty, of pride, of the danger of believing oneself to be chosen. She listened, at first. Tyrion became her hand, her strategist, her conscience, but wisdom is fragile when power grows. As dragons rose, mercy fell. Tyrion watched cities burn, watched innocents die, watched advice be ignored. Once again, he failed to stop a tyrant. The war ended. The world was broken. Kings and queens were gone. And in the ruins, Tyrion spoke. Not as a Lannister, not as a criminal, but as a survivor. He reminded the world that stories shape belief, that rulers must be chosen for wisdom, not strength, and in a strange twist of fate, the man once condemned to die was chosen to guide the realm. Tyrion Lannister became Hand of the King, once more, not because he was powerful, but because he understood pain. He had loved, he had lost, he had failed, and he had learned. Tyrion never became a hero in songs, never found lasting love, never escaped loneliness, but he lived, and sometimes, living, is the bravest act of all. In a world that mocked him, Tyrion Lannister stood tall, without ever being tall, not as a lord, not as a legend, but as proof that wisdom can survive cruelty, and that even the most broken souls can still shape the future.